So since his tearful tell-all press conference on Monday, pressure has been mounting on Congressman Weiner to resign, and some of those calls are coming from his fellow Democrats. One party leader who is not quite ready to close the door on the Queens and Brooklyn representative, however, is State Democratic Chairman Jay Jacobs. He is joining us tonight from Hofstra University on Long Island. Mr. Chairman, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
It is good to see you. Okay, so this is a little bit, it's really getting quite complicated. You've got an ex-Democratic National Committee Chairman, Tim Kaine, now running for the U.S. Senate. You have got a Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee Recruiting Chair, Allison Schwartz. She's a Democrat from Pennsylvania, calling for Congressman Weiner to resign. You had told the National Journal that you don't think it's quite time to write him off yet. Have you changed your mind?
Well, I think that there is no defending what he did. There's no defending what he did on the Internet with the communication with these women. There's no defending how he handled it in the week after and not telling the truth. So I'm not going to defend what he did. But I'm going to say that the decision whether to resign is his alone. No one else can make that decision for him. And I think that he ought to get his best guidance from his own constituents in his own district. They hired him. They should be the ones to fire him, and they should let him know what their views are, and I think he should follow their lead. And I think also very important is I think that he needs to cooperate fully with the inquiry that Leader Pelosi called for. I think she was exactly on point, did the right thing in calling immediately for an inquiry and asking him to cooperate with it, and he's indicated that he's going to do that. I think that people like an early resolution to things, and I think there are good reasons for it. But you got to take a deep breath, give him a little bit of time, and let's make sure that we allow him the latitude to make what will ultimately be the best decision.
See, the problem is, though, that if Chris Lee abruptly resigned, and there's been a lot of speculation, perhaps, that there was more where that came from with him. I mean, there was only one photo, one shirtless photo for former Congressman Chris Lee, Republican, and he didn't give the Democrats any time to gang up on him. Now what you have is almost like a Charlie Rangel redux. He was, of course, censured, right, for unethical behavior that had nothing to do with women, but it really distracts from the message. How can the Democrats continue their message on things like the debt ceiling or the budget or anything else when Congressman Weiner is sticking around as a distraction?
Well, it is a terrible distraction. The Democrats have been on a roll. I think the Republicans were caught on the wrong side of the issue of Medicare and budgetary cuts. I think the American people saw that. We had a great victory in upstate New York that's actually getting stepped on. Kathy Hochul took the oath of office in the midst of all of this, and we haven't gotten the attention on it that we need. So we do need to resolve this. There is that external piece to all of this that we need to move on. But I don't think that Christopher Lee sets the standard. His precedent of resigning early, I don't think is what is necessarily going to be followed by everybody that comes after. Again, I think it's important that we give the congressman some time to breathe after his press conference.
Well, sure. I mean, certainly
yes.
his first responsibility is to his wife, and he hasn't been doing so fantastically on that particular line. The problem is that I think people are failing to understand why Chris Lee doesn't set the standard. Why is what was good for Chris Lee not good for Anthony Weiner when actually one might argue it was worse because he spent a week and change lying to everybody about it?
Well, again, I am not going to defend and sit here in any way defend what Anthony Weiner did. And I'm not going to sit here and look to open up the wounds of Christopher Lee. I felt badly for him, and I said so too, and for his family and what they had to go through. It's awful enough when you make a mistake like this on its own merits, but then to have it in the public and the embarrassment that goes with it, it's tremendously difficult. But there's a human piece to this as well. And I think we've got to give recognition to that. We're operating in the world of public opinion, and politicians are weighing in, but these are human beings, and I think you just got to step back and give them just a few moments. There is no imperative in the representation of his district for him to step down at this exact minute. If there was, if he had violated a law, and as far at this point we don't know that he has,
right.
Then I think you'd be in a different circumstance. And I think it'd be a little easier. But again, that's not to say that ultimately he shouldn't. And I'm not casting a judgment here. What I'm just saying to everybody is to slow down a little bit. I do think we should move on to other issues. There is going to be an ethics inquiry in the works. Leader Pelosi is to be commended for calling for it, and Anthony Weiner should cooperate with it.
Well, okay, you know, the thing is, there's been a lot of speculation now that actually the Democrats want Anthony Weiner to stick around, as much as they're holding their noses and not running to defend him and saying that they can't, as you've said, defend the indefensible, which is what he did in terms of lying and having these relationships. However, maybe you want him to be a sacrificial lamb when it comes to redistricting, because you got to get rid of 2 seats, and now here's a guy who's so crippled he can't run for mayor in 2013. Clearly, maybe you just like to get rid of him, so you want him to stick around.
Well, you know, that it's fairly Machiavellian.
Yes, it is fairly Machiavellian. It is.
I don't think it's been. It's great. It's great speculation, but remember something: the decision on redistricting isn't quite so easy as to pick who you don't like today and eliminate them when you have to eliminate 2 seats. You do have to deal with the census and figure out what areas have lost population and what areas have gained population. And I don't think that Central Brooklyn and Queens are the targets that have lost population in the state of New York.
Well,
so
actually,
it's not going to be quite so easy to eliminate those districts.
No, it's true. It's true. And his district actually borders on some minority-majority districts, and those are federally protected, right? So that's a problem right there. But then again, you do have people, including Anthony Weiner once upon a time, who were challenging that maybe the census count in Queens, which he represents, of course, as you just mentioned, was undercounted, that the census was wrong because there was very little growth there. But the reality is that Long Island, which is where you are right now, grew enormously. So something's got to be rejiggered on the island, quite clearly, and that might push, I don't know, somebody's district into Weiner's district. I mean, look, I understand that there's a redistricting reform effort afoot, and there's, as you said, a lot going into this, but clearly he's more of a target than his district is more of a target now than it was 11 days ago. Is that not true?
Well, yeah, but that doesn't define how these things occur. Look, a couple of weeks ago, Chris Lee's district was a target until, you know, we elected Kathy Hochul.
Yes, and now you could protect her, maybe.
Maybe not so much a target. I don't know. All I'm saying to you is, again, you have to go back to the census. And the regions of the state that have lost population are going to need to be looked at for having their congressional seats reduced. You have to have about 700,000 people in a congressional district, give or take. There's a margin you can play with there. But that's about right. And there's no other way to cut that. That's got to be done that way. So you don't have the luxury of just picking a seat that happens to have a congressman who's in trouble and decide that you're going to eliminate that district. Well, not to say the lines won't change. They always do. Right.
Well, and also, I mean, the process itself is under fire now. As a political guy, you are chairman also of the Nassau County Democratic Party, chairman of the state party at the moment. Right. What is your feeling about nonpartisan redistricting? Because it's almost impossible, no matter how you configure it, to take out politics from a political process. I mean, elections are by definition political. So the governor's push to reform this effort, and subsequently good government, advocates, Ed Koch, et cetera. I mean, what do you think as a party leader about that? Is it possible?
I'm 100%. I've always been 100% in favor of nonpartisan redistricting. I think that the way we redistrict in this state, in this country, in my own county, is ludicrous, and it doesn't serve the people. Right. It doesn't serve the voters. I think it creates a 10-year fiction, and it favors the party in power at the time of redistricting. That's not what politics and government and elections in America were ever meant to produce, and I think we do need that. And I think the governor is exactly on the right track, and I trust and believe that he will continue to push that, and I'll support that.
Yeah, I actually am curious for an update regarding your personal position. I know you're going to, pretty much as long as you want, in the short term at any rate, be Nassau County Democratic Chairman. What about the state position? There was a lot of speculation. You and I have talked about it. Do you have any timeline on that from the governor at this point?
Still here.
Quite clearly, yes. Clearly still here.
I feel like every time I see you, you check my pulse. I don't know.
Yes, but you're looking quite well, Jay. You're looking very healthy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So seriously, then.
I am doing my job. I'm not the type of individual that's got a self-image problem or a lack of confidence. I'm going to continue to do my job as long as the governor feels that he'd like to work with me. I'm going to help his agenda in any way I can. I think he's doing a fabulous job. I'm honored to be able to continue working with him. And frankly, we'll see how that goes. I have no indication that he is looking for a change at this moment. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. But you know what? Right now, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm still ticking.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because, of course, the governor's focus since he took office only in January. I mean, it seems like he's been governor for quite some time, but actually not all that terribly long. He has been focused on first the budget. He got a budget that was on time. Now he's pushing through this quite ambitious legislative agenda, and we're waiting to see by June 20th or maybe a little bit after if he actually gets everything he wants. And then I would expect, did he indicate to you that he would then turn to politics? Because politics has not been his top priority at this point.
Well, the reason you feel that the governor seems to have been in longer than he has is because he's gotten so much done, and there's been so much movement. And this is a governor that has taken a look at state government and determined we're not going to do it the way it's been done. We're going to do it the way it can be and should be done, and that's why you're seeing progress. And I think also his ability to work with both parties, a Republican state Senate and a Democratic Assembly, has been a little different, out of character, and we're seeing that happen. Now, what happens on the political realm? He's focused on getting things done. He knows that's his job. That's what he was elected to do. That's first and foremost. I think when it's time for him to focus on the politics, and he will do that, I don't think that he sees that at this moment as the imperative. Right now, he's got a window to get things done. He's going to get as much done as he possibly can. I don't know how it's possible that he'll get that whole agenda done. I mean, that seems fairly Herculean. But I'm sure he'll make great progress and be set up for more progress in the next term.
That's interesting. So if you were a gambling man, would you actually, where would you put his odds on getting that Herculean agenda done?
Well, the governor's already made more progress, I think, toward resolving many of these things than has been done in the past. Whether or not in this session he's able to pull it all together, that I don't know. I would just say to you, it's a tough haul to get all of that done. But if anybody can get it done, he will get it done. And if what he doesn't get done now, I know he will do in the next session because of the way that he's operating and the way that he's working with both sides. So he's done a great job up till now. I've got every confidence that he's going to continue doing a great job. He is actually out there fulfilling